our data scientist, Dr. Sophia from Anaconda, and she's going to explain about PyScript. Sophia, please. Is it working? Oh, I think it's working. Yeah, just pretty closer. Okay, cool. Hi. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good?
Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming to my talk today. We're gonna talk about PyScript. How many of you have heard of or have used PyScript? Okay, cool. So I'm super excited to introduce PyScript to both of you. You can see my slide. Following this URL or the QR code, you can scan the QR code here to get my slides. And why is it not? Okay, cool. Before I get started, I want to introduce myself. My name is Sophia Young. I am a data scientist and a developer advocate at Anaconda. My education background is in psychology, statistics, and computer science. I have worked at Anaconda for 5.5 years now. I am a big believer of open source Python ecosystem and open science. So I have contributed several open source packages and created several open source Python packages. I also volunteer at various Python and open source communities like non-focused PyData conferences, SciPy conferences in the US. And I host a data science and machine learning book club. If anyone is interested, please feel free to join us. And I have all my social media listed here. I have a YouTube channel. I talk about data science and AI stuff. Yeah, feel free to check it out. So agenda for today, we're going to talk about what is PyScript, how to use PyScript, why do we use PyScript, and I'm going to show you some demos. So first of all, what is PyScript? Wouldn't it be cool to run Python in your browser? So PyScript is a tool to allow you to run Python in your browser. Just with one line of code, you can actually write Python code directly in your HTML file. PyScript was first introduced by our CEO, Peter Wen, at PyCon US last year. So PyScript is a framework for creating rich Python apps in the browser. Interleave Python in HTML, so you're actually writing Python code directly in HTML. It gives you full access to the web page, and you can call and be called by JavaScript libraries. So I will show you a demo in a second about how can you import JavaScript libraries in Python, which is pretty cool. So with PyScript, all your app logic and code is in one language, so you don't need to switch between language, and it just lives in the browser. No web server is needed because it's just HTML. So not only does Python can execute in the web browser through PyScript, it brings you the whole Python ecosystem. So whether you're using pandas, scikit-learn, any of the image tools, like matplotlib, Seaborn, you can use all those libraries, all the Python ecosystem with PyScript and bring you that experience in the browser. And then you might wonder, what about JavaScript? Is PyScript here to replace JavaScript? The answer is no. It's not a drop-in replacement for JavaScript. Instead, PyScript and JavaScript work closely together, so you can call JavaScript components, libraries in PyScript. Here is the foundation of PyScript. It's built on top of Pyodide or MicroPython, which then built on top of WebAssembly. WebAssembly was first released in 2017 and became the W3C standard by 2019. Includes a human-readable .wat text format language, which can get converted to a binary .wasm format that browsers can run. So for our users, if you want to interact with WebAssembly, you can. But if you just want to run Python in your browser, you actually don't need to learn about WebAssembly. That's why PyScript is really powerful, because it gives you a clear and simple user interface without going deep into WebAssembly and Pyodide and MicroPython. So built on top of WebAssembly is Pyodide. It's a port of CPython to WebAssembly and Scripton, which makes it possible to install and run Python packages in the browser with micropip. Micropip is similar to pip, but provided and maintained by Pyodide ecosystem. Alternatively, you can run PyScript through MicroPython. It's lean and efficient, which means it includes a subset of Python standard libraries optimized to run on microcontrollers in constrained environment. It is so lean and efficient. It's much faster than PyScript, but it doesn't provide you as rich of a Python ecosystem as Pyodide would provide. So there are trade-offs in both implementations. So depending on your application, you can choose which one suits you the best. Okay, so next up, let's talk about how do we use PyScript. You might wonder, so how do you install PyScript? The answer is you don't actually need to install anything. How nice is that? You just need to add this one line of code in your HTML, and you can run Python in your HTML and you can write Python in your HTML and run Python in your browser. So here's an example, hello world example, where you can see it's just a simple HTML file where we add this one of code installing or calling the PyScript library, the object. And in the body here, we use the script tag to write Python code directly. You can see type equals Py, meaning we're using a Pyodide backend. And then we can use PyScript import display to display our hello world message. So when you open up this hello.html file here on my desktop, you can see this hello world printed out. Note that if you use print, like you normally do in Python, you do print hello world, it actually won't show up on the web page. It will show up on the console log, just like what you expected with HTML. So let me show you a quick example. If I click this hello world, this is hosted on my GitHub page. It just loaded hello world. And you can inspect the page source. Why is it not loading? Yeah, you can see there are different elements, and we're actually loading PyScript in this web page. Okay, so that is hello world. The best practice, note here, we're writing code directly in HTML page. It's not the best practice, but for demonstration purpose, I'm just showing you how to do that. If you're actually building your applications, please make sure to include your Python code in a separate Python file and call that Python file using the src command here. And so I showed you how to use Pyodide as a backend. If you want to use MicroPython, you can use type equals mpy and click this link. You can see it just shows up automatically, much faster than the Pyodide example we showed. Okay, now when we build applications, we need a lot of packages. How do we install packages? So simply add config and include your packages in the list here. In this example, I'm using matplotlib and numpy. And then we can use all those packages in your code. I actually borrowed this code from matplotlib documentation, so we can display a matplotlib code right here. And again, I hosted this HTML on my GitHub page, and it should show up. Yep. Okay, so that's packages. One thing when you build applications you might want is an event handler. So if you're familiar with JavaScript, it's pretty straightforward. With PyScript, it makes event handler more in a more Pythonic way. We use a when decorator, so when you click on something, it will do something for you. For example, when you click a button, you will display being clicked. Okay, let's check out this example. Click me, and you will return things for you. And as you can see, everything is Python. There's no JavaScript here. Okay, I hope that was clear on how to get started using PyScript. Now let's talk about why do we use PyScript. So it's not just easy installation. There's no installation. You actually don't need to install Python at all. Lower the barrier of programming, bring programming for the 99% of people who find it hard. It's hard to install Python. Even though at Anaconda we try to make it easy for people to download Python, some non-technical folks still find it hard to get started managing the environment and everything in Python. With PyScript, it's just so simple, no installation needed. And second, it allows reproducibility. With config tag, you can define your self-contained environment and dependencies. So you can actually tag the exact version of your packages you want. And you can, so whenever we do applications, we specify the version of PyScript we're using. I'm actually using the version of PyScript that was released 2 days ago. That's why I was updating my code this morning because the release just came out. Yeah, so with this environment, you don't actually need to manage your environment as long as you have this file, it's reproducible. And it's easy to share because it's just one HTML file or multiple. You can send your file via email, Dropbox, Google Drive, however you like. And it's easy deployment. As the example I showed you, I hosted my HTML files on GitHub pages. You can host it anywhere, or you can use PyScript, which just simply you can write HTML and it will host directly for you. So it's easy to deploy dashboards and models. You don't need any servers, and data scientists actually get to focus on the code, not the infrastructure. How nice is that? Okay, don't know why. This is better. Okay, and as I mentioned, it works with JavaScript libraries. So in this example, we can import DS in Python and write Python code in using DS. This is really amazing. This is like a dream come true. All the DS libraries, all the JavaScript libraries, you can utilize them in the Python system. Okay, and let me show you some demos. This demo is a simple, where was I? Okay, so this one is a simple scikit-learn clustering analysis. So this is hosted on PyScript.com. As you can see, it has a PyScript.com URL here, and we're using PyScript version, a subnet version. You can see here. For any of the PyScript.com app, you can view code to see exactly how this app is built. And as you can see here, this is basically just Python code you're familiar with. There's nothing hard for you if you're familiar with Python and scikit-learn. We're doing some clustering analysis. And then in the index.html, like I mentioned before, we're just defining the path of our Python file, and it will render directly in your browser for you. Okay, this second example is really cool. If you want to do some network neural network inference with Onyx runtime. You can do it directly in a browser with PyScript. As you can see, it took a little time to load because we need to download all the packages needed. And here is a number recognizing neural network. Like I wrote 7, it was able to recognize the number I wrote is 7. And here is a more complex example using D3.js. Sorry. And as you can see, we can do a complicated network graph using PyScript, and it's hosted again on one of the GitHub pages that my coworker built. And you can see different components, different episodes of Star Wars episode, and it will graph the interactions between and among Star Wars characters. Yeah, this is really cool. And as I mentioned, it's all running on the browser, and you can see this is a GitHub web page, and you can check it out yourself. If you want to make dashboard, I know the previous talk we're talking about Streamlit, you can host Streamlit apps on the web page directly as well. And here we're using another visualization dashboarding tool called Panel, which is also an open source tool supported by Anaconda. And yeah, it's taking a while to load. Let's check. Cool. So here we're visualizing some data, and again doing clustering analysis. And if we change the number of clusters we want, you can see the figures get updated. So this is a good way for you to share your dashboard with your coworkers and explore what's in the data and what kind of models you want to run. And it's pretty convenient. You can change your X and Y axes, and and it would do scikit-learn kind of clustering analysis for you. Yeah, not only does it work with data, it works with your camera. So let me start a camera. Okay. Yeah, Pyodide sometimes take a long time to load. It's not too long, but PyScript team is actively working on optimizing the speed and speed of everything to make sure that your experience is good. Okay, let's start the camera. You can see me. Take a picture, and you can download a picture. Again, this is in the browser, no server needed. And you can host your games directly in the browser. Here's a tic-tac-toe game. Yeah. Anyway, you get the idea. And I have another example of another interesting game. So you can even design a more complex game using PyScript and just run the game in the browser. It's pretty cool. Anyways, and then if you view the code, you can see exactly what's happening under the hood. Yeah. Again, it's just one HTML file calling different Python files, and you can check on different Python files and see how the app works. And this one is a little more complex because it is a game. But if you're interested, you could make complicated games like this one. end. Okay, I think I have this one here. There's a community member created this pandas cheat sheet, which basically teaching you how to use pandas. If you run the FL head, it will show you the initial data frame and the output. You can like interact with your data frame here, and it will show you different things. So this is a community effort for interacting with your data. And again, it's hosted on the web page, running on the web page directly. Okay, so that's all very exciting. How do you get started? Like I mentioned, we have PyScript is an open source library, but we also have a PyScript.com for you to code and share Python in the browser. We have, so sign up and you can share your app here, and then when you log into PyScript.com, there is a list of galleries to show you different examples and help you get started. And I want to thank our PyScript team from Anaconda for all the amazing contributions, and we have a lot of community contributions as well. People are awesome. And if you want to join our community, here is our Discord server. So that's it for my talk. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentations. As you have demonstrated a use case using the Onyx runtime for some data science job. So I just wonder, is it possible to integrate the GPU resources to run the Onyx runtime applications?
GPU resources? Not yet. Not right now. It's not possible right now. Also, a lot of people ask for PyTorch applications, which is really, really hard. PyTorch is supported in Pyodide, but there are lots of dependencies of PyTorch which are not supported by Pyodide. So, PyScript, if your application is PyTorch, it doesn't work right now. The community is actively working on making PyTorch work. So that will be the first step.
Thank you for an interesting talk. I was wondering a little bit with because it fetches everything to the browser, like when the user's browser. Is there any, or have you guys tried, like what is the limits when it comes to data? Like I don't know how much the browser supports these things.
Yeah, great question. That's why we created PyScript.com to help you up your game. If you're just using like any of the GitHub pages or other regular websites, it does come with a lot of limitations on like how many data you can send to the browser. But PyScript.com is a place to start for us to optimize and increase the capabilities you can do.
Any more questions?
Great talk, thank you. I learned a lot. You said this was not a drop-in replacement for JavaScript, but it seems like it's doing a lot aside from the initial load of the JavaScript module. I guess my question is, the only thing I didn't see demonstrated was networking or using any WebSockets. Or is there any support for that in PyScript?
Great question. I do not know that answer, but please keep in touch. I can ask my team to get back to you.
Thank you. Do you know if there are any browser which cannot run PyScript on it? So for example, if I make my iPad and then try to run PyScript, can I run it? Thank you.
Yes, it works on your iPhone, iPad. It works on Google Chrome, Edge, many different types of browsers. It actually depends on WebAssembly. So all the browsers that WebAssembly supports, which is a lot, PyScript can run.
Any other question?
So single-threaded in the browser?
That is a great question. So our latest release allow you to use multiple workers. You can have a worker running in the background. So we can have different threads actually.
I have a question then. So I also try to write PyScript in, let's say, VS Code. So are there any good support for any IDE you recommend? Just like syntax highlight or linting seems to be missing in the IDE.
Yeah, great question. Yes, I wonder why don't they implement it. If you use VS Code, there is a plugin for syntax highlighting for PyScript. Also a community effort. It's actually not developed by our team.
Thank you. Is there more questions? We do have a little bit of time. If not, let's put our hands together. Thanks. Before I just have one more section is